Good evening and welcome, Warriors, to another edition of the R&R Sports Report. I'm your host, Randy Isbell. With me, as always, Robert Hagan. Robert, man, if you're listening on KLCZ.com, we were laughing at what song, quote unquote, we were listening to before.
I want to know which one of the guys programmed that. As they're over in the production room, I don't know.
They're probably not listening.
They're probably not listening right now, but where did that song come from?
It's not a song. It's a story. And they're telling a story. If you are listening on R&R Sports Report on Facebook or YouTube, let us know if the audio works. Once again, we're testing things out, and we would like any feedback possible just as we continue to try different things here in the studio. Because it's nice to be in the studio, but it's also not nice because we're trying to do two different things. So we're trying to merge the two together and make it work. So we'll see. Robert, how you been?
I don't know. You're already picking on me.
That's my job.
My hearing sucks.
Yeah.
Our guest has already laughed about my hearing.
Yes.
I was thinking about how old I was walking in here today.
Did you forget what you were thinking about as you walked in?
No. I just visit. Now I'm going to lead into it, but I had just left my parents' house. It's a happy anniversary. My parents are celebrating 53 years anniversary today, so happy anniversary to them. I know they're listening on the radio right now, but yeah, I mean, it just makes me think, man, I'm getting old. The wife is turning 50 this year, so I guess
you're gonna say that live on air, and you wonder why she gets mad at you every time we're on the show.
Listen,
77 episodes we have done, and she's been mad at you 77 times.
Exactly. I went home the other day, 2 weeks ago, after you and I were talking, and you were showing me your new car. I'm like, I need a new car. She got mad at me.
Don't get me involved. That's just all I ask.
That's what a best friend's supposed to do.
God damn.
You have to get involved.
All right. On today's show, we got to end up. When do we not have a jam-packed show? But we have a jam-packed show. Obviously, the Masters are this weekend. We'll be watching a lot of that. Baseball, Major League Baseball starts on Thursday. We finish out all the spring training coming up. NBA regular season ends in 5 days.
Yeah.
I do not care. And there's a stat I saw last night that I put in our notes that just blows me away. And I hate extended playoffs. I hate this play-in thing. It's a complete mess. But we will have a full-on preview of Major League Baseball, give our predictions that are sure to go completely wrong, like our brackets did. Yep. Obviously, both championships in college basketball ended on Sunday and Monday. We will talk about those two games. I was able to watch the women's game. I watched the second half of the men's game.
I turned the men's game off at halftime because it was like, oh my God.
That wasn't smart.
Yeah, well, I had two grandkids running around, and they were all excited that Papa picked them up. So it was a little crazy at my house, but yeah. So, but we even say it's a jam-packed show, and high school stuff had kind of the week off because of things being slow. So with spring break, but we've already got some scores in from today's action. So thank you to those folks.
Idaho sports are back full in force on the high school side. Wrestlemania was this weekend. I watched all 15, 16 hours of wrestling in 3 days.
I did too.
And I enjoyed most of it. And there were definitely some times that were not. But
yeah, and we'll talk about that. Also, we didn't really talk about it last week. I came back from state. You're getting ready to head to nationals. We'll talk about the Pba Masters.
Oh, PBA. I want to do the PBA. I'll talk about the USBC Masters. I want in on that so bad.
I think we need to get some money together and get you in the entry. We'll talk about that.
That's my note. I will be gone next week. I will be down in Vegas bowling the USBC Nationals. So we will be doing the show Monday night before I leave, I think is the plan. If that plan changes, we will let you know on the Facebook page.
Does it feel like basketball season now?
No.
Or is it just 1
week?
No,
it's just the 1 week. And with all the baseball stuff going on, we're making it work. I'm jam-packed with work to make up for not working at all next week. But very, very cool things going on next week for me. I'm very excited. AFL had a very, very fun week. My team did lose, but in wild fashion. You had a great comeback as well. NASCAR was pretty fun. We got lots to talk about. But first, we got to introduce our guest. As I point to Robert to talk, and he coughs. This is the professionalism we have on the R&R Sports Report.
The wind's blowing. I think Dina brought it in with us. It has to.
All right.
Listen, we're bringing in a champion this week.
Mm-hmm.
One of your Warriors coming and joining us. Pomeroy native, Deana Caruso. How are you, young lady? Good to see you in studio. Congratulations. We'll start there. Congratulations on your season win, first victory here for the Warriors. How was it down at the Walla Walla Invitational?
The first day we played was like super. It was like nice at first, and then all of a sudden a big cloud came, and it was like raining and windy for like 5 holes. And then the second day was a lot nicer.
Well, you're used to that as coming from Pomeroy. It's all in the same area. We talked about the weather. You were already looking this weekend, predicting. Here's our new weather person. We're going to have you doing weather here for KLCZ.
When you play golf, I think you have to.
She has to look at the weather. And she told us it's supposed to snow this week.
It did say that, but it's gone now. But
listen, I've seen it snow on the 4th of July around this place. So anything's possible.
Who knows? Can it wait till next week to snow while I'm not here? That would be great. And that would make it even better.
Yeah. So had a great weekend down there. You guys ended up having a couple of great players play in that one. You and Kyla both shoot really well on Monday. Talk a little bit about that.
The reason I was upset I didn't play good the first day was because I've played there a lot in high school, so I kind of knew the course already. And then the second day I had my mindset that I was going to play really good, so it was nice to actually show that I had my mindset on doing really good.
How much does we both suck at golf? It doesn't matter about our mindset.
You could give him lessons. I'm just telling you.
The wind that we had yesterday may have helped me make a straight shot. We'll just go that direction. All right. But so we just suck. So mental game doesn't even work for us. But how much does the mental game play in your game?
Oh, mental game is very strong for me. Like I do struggle. I'll have like one bad shot and I'll almost let it get to me, but I've played so much that I've learned to let it go and move on because there's so many more holes left.
Now listen, you are, and that brings me to the good topic. I was looking at the team of 8 of you, and you're one of 2 juniors, 2 seniors, and the rest are all underclassmen. How does it feel? Are you kind of one of the ones that the girls come to, some of the underclassmen, for help and that?
I would say so, yeah. I feel like they would ask me questions. When we did our practice round, I got asked a lot of questions, but that also was because I played there already. So,
how was it now when you played in Pomeroy? Where did you travel, high school wise?
Like the area?
Yeah, the areas.
We went to we went to Walla Walla a lot, so I've played a lot of the courses there and Coeur d'Alene a little bit, but we didn't go like anywhere really far. Like we've gone to Vegas already and stuff. So I mean, we haven't gone that far for high school.
What's the craziest golf course that you've gone to?
Craziest golf course I've gone to? Oh, I don't think I've been to a crazy golf course yet. I want to go play the one in Coeur d'Alene that has the floating apple green. I want to play that one, but I haven't played a crazy course yet.
Is there a dream course other than that one someplace else?
Oh, Pebble Beach.
Pebble Beach.
For sure.
I think that's all.
I play that on the simulators all the time when I go to, because I want to play there.
What's your favorite hole on that one? Honestly,
on Pebble Beach?
Yeah, I have one favorite one there that I've seen that I would love to go down and play.
I have no idea.
For me, it's got to be 18. For me, it's got to be 18.
The big
cutting, yeah. Got to go over the water.
Good view.
Yeah, gorgeous view.
Now I get all the holes confused. It's been a while since I've gotten into like the Tiger Woods games and stuff. But is Pebble Beach the one that has that par 3 that goes straight down?
Yes, that's like
that's the one I want to play. That was the one I'm always good at a quail. It's just you barely have to hit it, and rolls. Gravity does all the work. Well, and if I hit it off to the left, like you said, it just rolls near the hole.
Denise and I were sitting watching TP Sawgrass here a couple weeks ago, and watching 17 is kind of the same idea as what up at Coeur d'Alene with the floating in the middle, and watching how many balls went out in the middle of that in the drink, and we're talking like a 110-yard shot, and how many of them were right there in the lake. So listen, you're a junior, So let's talk a little bit. We'll rewind a little bit to last year as sophomore. Some huge numbers you put up. 81 stroke average for conference play. Your best finish was 5th. You had all Cascade Conference, academic all Cascade Conference. You were a Daktronics NAIA scholar athlete. Well, those are some huge numbers for just being a sophomore.
I don't know what was going through my head. I wanted to play good. In high school, it's crazy to think that I shot in the 70s consistently and then moved here and kind of lost it. But I also haven't played. The courses here are different from what I play in Pomeroy and like around that area. So
Out of all the courses in this area, which one's your favorite?
of here,
Yeah.
I would say Red Wolf, even though it's kind of hard, but
It's long, very long.
I like it because it's flat.
No up and down,
It's-
walking up and down.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's a long course. I used to
Mhm.
play with Bud all the time, Bud Burlinghoff, and I think the biggest one for me was always playing. I want to say it was 2. It was the par 5 coming back up towards the clubhouse and the long overhang branch.
yeah,
Right in
it
the
always
middle.
gets people.
You almost have to play 3 wood off to the left, and then you play 3 wood again just to get around that tree. So this season things are looking great. Again, the victory this last week, and you've got one more week to go against Corbin next week.
Yeah, we
What are you
leave
looking for with
Sunday.
that?
I just want to play good again, finish good, because then we have championships.
Yeah, and right after that we've got
Mhm.
CC championships, then
Mhm.
NAIA. So lots of things can happen, but
Yeah,
you've had 2 big honors already this season, being Golfer of the Week twice already.
Mhm.
Once
Yeah.
this last week. So congratulations
thank
on
you.
that. I think the big thing that for me, we had your brother on. Yeah, she kind of got giddy about we're going to talk about her brother. How is it having him as, I mean, kind of a teammate, being
Yeah.
here and playing with your brother here at LC?
Oh, it's same old, same old. I played with him in high school. It feels like we just moved to a different place.
We're less than 30 miles and
Right.
same stuff.
Yeah.
Did him coming here kind of help make your decision to come here, or is it just kind of way it
I
works?
think scholarship wise was kind of like why I came here, and
Mhm.
also I played the courses in this area, so I kind of like already had like ahead of the game. I feel
Yeah.
like playing people.
All right, so we're gonna have a little fun. We're
Mhm.
gonna talk a little bit, get some quick questions, and get your reaction and all that. So we'll start really quick. If you could host a talk show, I love, she just thinks it's funny. If you can host a talk show, who would be your first guest? And it doesn't have to be
My first guest.
athlete. It doesn't have to be anything like that. So it could be anybody in the world that you want to talk to, or living or dead. Living or dead.
I would probably say my principal, Amy Miller,
Why her?
because she was a big role model in my
Yeah.
life.
Nice.
All right. Which household chore do you dread the most?
Oh goodness.
First of all, do you room with some other golf players?
I actually
we see
room
that with a
with
lot of.
Alex that's on the golf team. Yeah. I would say my worst chore that I had to do at my like parents' house or now.
Oh, I would do
Either.
one. I bet you still go back to your parents' house and have
I
to do
do.
chores.
I do. I would say taking out the trash because we had a big trash at my parents' house and it was very heavy.
All right. What's your biggest pet peeve
Biggest pet peeve in life or like golf?
in general? Wherever you want to go with that.
I would say having a good attitude in the morning to start my day off.
Are you a morning person or are you an afternoon person?
I would say I could go either way. It depends on how I wake up because we have morning workouts on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we wake up at 4:50 to go to the gym.
Coach Campbell's got a whip on you.
So-
early.
So we brought up normal stuff. What is your biggest pet peeve on the golf course?
Biggest pet peeve. I think Man, that's kind of a hard question. Not chunk it.
I think mine. You watch people and they hit a huge divot. I'm talking like a long divot, and nobody will put it back. Come on, guys.
Oh, that's so
That's just
bad.
irritating.
So
Yeah.
bad.
All right. What's one important skill everyone should master?
Important skill everyone should master. Socializing. I would say that.
I like that one. Works. I like that
All
one.
right, the most important question we have in this entire thing.
Oh man.
I think we asked your brother this one too, and I think he.
No, this was before
Oh, you
because
think
we
so?
were here last year. We didn't do this till like September of this school year.
All right, so we had somebody ask us, what do you eat peanut butter and jelly? You like peanut butter and
Yeah.
jelly? All right. So what does the ratio have to be?
Actually, I eat peanut butter and honey.
Well, okay. So what's the ratio then?
More honey than peanut butter.
Ooh. I've been on a honey kick here lately too, so crazy.
Well, my parents have a bee farm, so that's why.
Oh, there's an
There
extra
you go.
plus. There you go. Extra jars of honey here. All right, so we didn't really talk. Are you a big sports fan? Do you like team sports? Do you like individual sports?
I like tennis.
Do you? Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna throw it out there. Who's your favorite athlete or favorite sport team?
Me?
Yeah. Who's
I'm like, I have no idea. I don't have favorites. I just like watching.
I like that too.
There you go. You can say yourself. I'm my favorite athlete. That's fine.
There you go. All right, so the big tough one, and I'm gonna put you on the spot, and hopefully your teammates are listening. Who's your favorite teammate to play with?
Dang, you're gonna make some beef. I would say I like to play with my Lena.
Okay.
Where's
She
that?
has a good attitude.
Yeah. She helped keep you focused.
No.
No, like it.
She gets you off topic.
She helps me have more fun, I guess.
All right, now we're gonna do a little word association with you. I'll just say a name. You just give me the first thing that comes to your mind. Is it Kyla Curry?
Kyla Curry, determined.
How about Courtney Ockler?
Ooh, I have no idea what to say. Courtney. I don't know what to say.
Guess we lied. We do have hard hitting questions here on the R&R Sports Report. How about Kelsey Fleming?
She is strong headed.
How about your mate, Alexandra Schmidt?
Alex. She is very strong golfer.
How about Brady Campbell?
Funny.
And then we do it to everybody, but Deana Caruso.
Myself?
Yeah.
Ooh. I would say I'm silly.
I almost threw your brother's name in there too. Let's see what your one
Oh,
word of your
jeez.
brother.
She can't say it on a college radio.
That's funny.
All right, so we're gonna have you stick around just for a moment. We do we warned you a little bit before the show. We do a sports related draft. Robert was able to pick the topic this week, kind of fit into your realm of expertise. So we're gonna use your assistance if you don't mind.
All right, so you say you kind of follow a little bit of everything, but it is Masters week. My favorite time of the year. I love Masters, so I went that direction. I want you to tell us which one drafted the better Masters moment. So these are the top Masters moments in all of history. Okay, and each of us will give you our round one picks, and then so on and so forth. And where I picked the topic this week, that means Randy gets to go first.
Okay.
That doesn't mean he wins
That
automatically.
does mean I win automatically. You
Because
said before the show started that I picked the obvious picks, which means the good picks, and you went off on a rail and picked the not so good
No,
picks.
I picked good picks, but they're more set up. We'll get to my reasoning behind them at the very end. So
Well, let's see how it goes. All right, my first pick, the moment that got me into golf, that got me to become a fan of golf. I never became good at golf, but I enjoyed watching. That's Tiger Woods winning his first major by 12 strokes. Wins it at the age of 21, breaks Jack's record, going 18 under par. You just remember him hugging his dad. It's still a moment you see at every Masters. You're going to see it 173 times now that Tiger's coming back at this year's Masters. But that's the moment that got me really into golf. Is it blew up Sports Center that whole next week, and honestly, it changed golf forever. Right? Golf up until the mid '90s was a rich man's sport, and people watched it here and there. Tiger Woods came in there, young African American athlete, changed everything, and he became one of the most popular athletes in any sport, which is not something golf really had. So that's my number one pick.
I mean, that's a good one. I like that. I mean, I don't know. There was a lot of great athletes starting to come out when he was playing. Davis Love was there.
Oh, there's great
There's
athletes. No one cared outside the golf world.
Right. So, for me, it was the guy getting his 6th Masters, his 18th and final one at age 46, the Golden Bear himself. Yeah, I mean, 1986, when he hits that shot on 17, raises that club, you see him, he's won the Masters, his 6th one, and he is still the oldest to win a Masters. So for me, it's got to be Jack Nicklaus in 1986, winning there. So
talking about how old you are, I get it.
It's gonna be age based. I tell you what, on my 2 of my picks.
All right, my next pick, sticking with Tiger Woods, that chip shot in 2005. Yeah, you have to
listen.
Again,
these moments don't happen without Arnie and Jack. I'm just telling you right now. And
they don't happen without my next pick. But and that's 100% true. But what are some of the most iconic shots that you see from the Masters every single year when they're advertising the Masters during the March Madness tournament? It's Tiger Woods hugging his dad, and that Nike symbol sitting at the lip of that cup for like 2 seconds before finally falling in and the crowd going completely berserk.
Yeah, it was a long
It's those 2 moments. It wasn't a putt; it was a chip. That he chipped the wrong direction. That thing hooked worse than my shot.
You laugh. You haven't seen his shot. We'll have to go and take him out.
I scare people because I aim at them, and then it goes that way.
Comes back.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that's my pick. Tiger Woods chip. 2005.
All right, you went back to back Tiger Woods. So
yep. I almost went all 3 just for fun.
I wondered if you were going to, and yes, Tiger Woods is probably one of the greatest golfers ever to play, but yeah, he's got to get there through those. So, for me, going next pick has to just be Phil winning finally after 13 years, finally getting his first Masters in 2004. So 13 years. And then when 3 years later, 2 years later, he gets another one, and then 4 more years. So he hits three Masters wins, but finally getting the monkey off his back. So Phil Mickelson is my second pick.
Yeah, that was an all-right moment, I guess. All right, my last pick. The real reason why all of these moments are so iconic, and that was a shot heard around the world way back when you were a young lad in 1935. Do you remember this?
No, but I do have a namesake that played golf. Walter Hagen. You ever heard of him? Just saying.
I know you. That's
just saying.
Your alter ego, and you were playing. Gene Sarazen in 1935 hit a double eagle on the 15th hole. Used I put 4-iron as a 4-wood from 235 yards away. Masters at that point wasn't even a major. It became a major after this moment. Just the stories that you hear from all of this, whether it was the little kid at the green calling in the score and arguing with the person. No, he scored a 2 on the par 5. It wasn't the next hole on the par 3. It was on the par 5. He scored a 2, especially way back then. Again, Masters wasn't even on the map until this shot.
All right, here's my last one, round 3, last one overall. None of Tiger's accomplishments make a bit of difference if it's not for this guy. He does not play the Masters unless it's for this guy.
Well, no, Tiger could have been the first guy if it wasn't for this
Lee Elder making his famous tee shot in 1975. First African-American to ever play in the Masters, so at Augusta National. So all of Tiger's stuff, all of VJ Singh's stuff would have never happened if it wasn't for Lee Elder. So That by far that knocks out your top
It
two
doesn't
picks.
knock out
I'm just telling
anything.
you right now. None of those happen without Lee Elder.
So when we go back and do greatest baseball moments, you can't do anything Ken Griffey because you just have to do Jackie Robinson.
I would, I did Jackie
Stop
Robinson.
it. Absolutely. All right.
I'd even do Babe Ruth.
All right. Very important. Who wins?
Let's recap. Let's recap before you go there. And so for Randy's taking Tiger Woods' first major.
Randy takes Tiger Woods.
Randy then takes his second one, the chip shot in 2005. And then his third one is the shot heard around the world, Gene Sarzan. And then for me, I am taking the Golden Bear winning his sixth and final Masters in 1986. Then Phil Mickelson getting his first in 2004. And Lee Eldred making history, being the first African-American to play at Augusta National. So the ball is now at your feet. You're getting ready to tee off.
I'm taking a shot.
And you're going to take a shot. She probably would have taken a shot before she got here if she knew what she was dealing with.
Right.
But she already told me that I win. I already know this.
All right. The official pick.
I pick his.
Yes. I love it.
I like your
It's all
brother
about
more.
history. It's all about history. These things don't
You should
happen
have
without
picked
him.
one other one. You shouldn't have picked Tiger Woods twice. That's all I gotta
That's
say.
fair. That's fair. He
You
just
should
does
have
a
had
lot of
someone
moments.
else in there.
I will accept that.
You should have taken like Lee Trevino, some of the older ones. I mean, you're not old, I guess. So
No.
I guess
I'm
that's
old
fine.
enough where I know Tiger Woods. That's what I know.
He's like, I'm just put all three.
I almost did. I really almost just had to have fun with it. I like to have fun on these sports drafts. That is your fifth win. Congratulations.
Yes, I'm
I got
gonna
9.
I'm changing that right now. Well, we didn't vote the first, what is it, 8 of them?
Yeah, that I won all of them.
He says he won all of them.
Listen, we created this last year. He got upset because I announced myself as the winner every week. So we got judges. I've won 9 of the 14 since we have done this.
Well, and the last week one was a little horse hockey. Harry failed.
Whatever.
I
All
have to
right.
tell you how old I am.
We're going to let you go while we argue for the next hour and a half. So, Deana, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Congratulations last week
Thank you.
on the win. Best of luck the rest of the season for sure.
Thanks.
All right, that is Pomeroy native Deana Caruso and champion of the Walla Walla University Wine Valley Invitational. Good luck to her next week as she travels to Corbin for the Corbin Invitational just before the CC playoffs. So, listen, I got to win.
You did.
I
can't even be.
I'm excited.
See, that's why you pick golf and you went out of my wheelhouse and you earned the victory. Congratulations.
I had to. So, listen.
Next week I pick cricket and I'm bringing Eric on, and you're in trouble.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So
My microphone has lost its mind.
again, thank you to Deana Caruso. She's awesome.
She was
Just
fun.
giggle, laugh the whole time. So I mean, that's awesome. So
All right. Speaking of the Masters, sir, again, it
Let's
is
stay right there for a
starting
minute.
on Thursday. The par 3 thing is tomorrow, right?
I believe so. Yeah,
I think
believe
they're
so.
doing like the pro-am stuff right now and everything going on. But
I looked at tee times.
Mhm.
I didn't see Joel.
Joel's not in it.
And so I didn't know if he's still dealing with why he
I'm not sure. I was going to try to get Gino to come on to be our guest judge and wasn't able to hear from him again. Busy dude. So I'm sure I'll hear from him in a few weeks when he gets to that message. But again, Masters Thursday through Sunday. Give me a winner.
Boy, I looked at a few of them. You know, I didn't want to go with the obvious ones, but I'm going to go with Patrick Cantley. I mean, Patrick has looked really good this year. First 4 tournaments to start off, he was in the top 10 every finish. Right now, he's 3rd in scoring at like 68.3, 68, somewhere right in there for scoring average per round, also averaging 5 birdies a round too. I think he's sitting second with that one. So give me Patrick. I think Patrick, he's had a rough couple. Last 3 tournaments haven't been so well, but I think he's got a good chance there.
That's decent. I'm going to go for a bit of an underdog pick. How about Cameron Smith already has wins in the Tournament of Champions and Players Championships. Decent odds if you are listening to us from a place where you can do those sorts of things. Sadly, I'll be down there after the Masters, so I can't do it. But Cameron Smith, 2 big wins already this year, like I said. 2 top 10s in the last 2 Masters tournaments. It's one of those, you start getting comfortable at Augusta, you find a way to win. I think both of us really kind of went off the big name path.
I kind of stayed away. Everybody's talking about Rory again. Everybody's talking about John Rahm. I don't know. I'm just not. And even why am I drawing a blank?
Tiger Woods.
No. Well, listen, Tiger came out and said, and everybody has kind of jumped on it today, and I kept getting alerts. Tiger's going to play. Oh, he said in his thing, he says he thinks he's going to be ready for Thursday. Yeah. I'm more impressed with how he played with Charlie. Listen, Charlie's going to be the next, big thing when he gets up there age or not. And he's already proven that he can hang with dad in these celebrity things with him and his son. It's going to be crazy to see where he goes.
Yeah. Do you think there's any chance Tiger makes the cut?
I think makes the cut. It'll be close, but I don't know. I think him getting through 2 rounds will really determine it. I think getting through Thursday, if he does play on Thursday, it'll be fine. But I don't see him being 100% to play.
No, I just
4 rounds.
I just don't see it. I don't see there being any chance, even if he's able to play and he's at full strength. Obviously, he's always said that he would not come back unless he felt like he could be competitive. But putting in those kind of rounds, it'd be nice to see him out there, hopefully, but I just don't see him making the cut. You are listening to the R&R Sports Report right here on KLCZ 88.9 FM Lewiston and KLCZ.com. Also, check us out on the R&R Sports Report Facebook and YouTube pages. Don't forget, we're about 25 follows away on our Facebook page from putting up the poll to determine which one of us has to go train at the MMA place.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is already prepping for this. I think if we get our guest on that's supposed to come in on the 19th, that we're already working on our guest with that one. I think if he comes on, those numbers go over, and one of us will be at his dojo.
Start stretching now, Robert, because you were definitely winning that poll. Definitely. Again, if you already are following and liking our Facebook page and you enjoy our content, share it out. Give it out to other people and let them see the goofiness that you listen to for every 2 hours once a week. Let's go to LCSC news first for baseball. You want the good news or the bad news?
Well, listen, you and I texted about it. I think it's better that it happened now.
I hate that mentality.
I know, but I mean,
it's not a good. So here's the thing: LCSC breaks their former record for most consecutive wins in a row. They won 28 straight this season. They did that with their win in Friday, the first game of their 4-game set against Corbin. Right? That's Corbin?
I believe so.
I forgot to put it down. So congratulations to them. Definitely had a bit of a letdown the next day. Faced some phenomenal pitchers. They faced last year's Cascade Conference Pitcher of the Year, who just mowed them down. It was a very, very good game. Listened to most of it, but LC does lose that game. Then throw 15 runs out in the second game of that doubleheader, and you're like, all right, now we're back to normal. Sunday, bats went quiet once again. So 15 runs in that one win in game 2 on Saturday. Just 3 runs total in their 2 other losses that they had this weekend. Still 35-3. Obviously, in AI ball went ballistic once LC lost because we're like their most hated college. So they had a lot of fun with it. But 4-game set at Eastern Oregon Friday through Sunday.
Yeah, they did play Corbin, and so that loss on Saturday hurt a little bit. But these guys don't get down very long, man. They took the loss, and then they come back in that doubleheader and just go absolutely crazy.
So we got this weekend. We have a homestand next week, and God, we're almost done with the whole regular season. It's winding down for sure. We look at tennis. Both the men and the women went to Indiana to play. The matches against Huntington both were canceled. I'm sure due to weather. The men won their first match against Judson. They won that one 4-3, but then they lose to both St. Thomas and the number 2 team in the country, Indiana Wesleyan. No downer there at all. The men's team is 8-7 on the year. They will host Treasure Valley Community College on Friday and Montana State on Sunday. The women did lose both of their contests, both again to St. Thomas and the number 3 team, Indiana Wesleyan. They lost both of those 1-4. So they are 4-7 on the year, and they will host Treasure Valley Community College on Friday.
Yeah, I need to get over and watch a couple of these matches. It just hasn't worked out time-wise, so it needs to happen. I'm ready to go over and see what Kai does with these players and what he brings out in this crew and how they compete, because they just he wants to take them everywhere. He wants to get them recognition everywhere. So hats off to them.
So obviously we talked a lot about golf at the beginning of the show, but just a reminder, both the men and the women won the WWU Wine Valley Invitational. Both Carlos Davia and our guest today, Deana Caruso, both winning the individuals, and they were both named Cascade Conference Golfers of the Week. So congratulations to them. And then they will be playing the Corbin Invitational a week from yesterday down in Salem, Oregon. Okay, let me catch my breath.
Yeah, because
LCSC track, once again, you basically have to break a record to get on this, but they had the NNU invite and multi last week. And here we go. Madigan Kelly, we talk about her all the time. We got to get her on the show at some point.
Yep.
She won the 100-meter hurdles with a 14.33 time, which breaks her own program record. Duh. And it always happens. Annika Grogan won the 200-meter with a 24.88. That breaks the school record. She also won the 100-meter dash at 12.19. That weird track thing where the wind was too strong, so it's wind aided, but still a fantastic time for her, and she gets the win, so that's all that matters. Ashley Britt wins the 400-meter hurdles with a time of 1 minute and 4 seconds. Jenna Carpenter, who also plays on the volleyball team, who also did music the last time LC had a homestand at baseball. I'm blank. Channel Hart was on later. She's also on the volleyball team. Was just talking up a storm about Jenna and how she just does everything. She finished second in the heptathlon. She was sick the week before and wasn't able to do other events, but she finished second there with a score of 4,152, the national qualifying standard for Carpenter, and it's also the second highest point total in program history. Stop me if we've heard this name before. Cole Olson won the 5,000 meters, with a national qualifying time of 14 minutes and 48 seconds. Warriors finished 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the event, as Chase Borrow, Bryson Kempton, and Brady Nelson finished 2, 3, and 4. Clayton Van Dyke, we've heard of him before. He won the 1,500 meter. Clayton Van Dyke also won the 800 meter. London Kirk finished second in the 100 meter with a school record time of 10.88. He also finished second in the 200 meter. Ike Hopper he won the 400 meter with a personal record of 45.67. Bertling, Kirk, Blaker, and Cohn won the 4x100 meter relay with a time of 44.18. And there was even more.
Take a deep breath for a second.
There was even more on there, but those are the main stats. They will be back in action this weekend in Spokane in the Whitworth Peace Meet, and there are some big schools going to that meet.
Well, I was wanting to know I haven't seen it I was looking on NAIA.org earlier. Where do they rank? Where does LC's track and field rank nationwide? They've got to be up in the top with as much talent as on this club. Both as the cross-country side, the indoor track, and the outdoor track. They have to be.
I don't know. With the different sections of it, it's always difficult, but they've got to be up there.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can find it. Go ahead and talk about college basketball real quick.
Oh, well, we finally have the end of a great era before we get to the final game. Coach K and Duke come up just a bit short there in Saturday's game against North Carolina, and the end of a unbelievable era. You could almost put Coach K in to say, you know what? You got Coach K, you got John Wooden can you put them in the same sentence? And I think yes, I really do. One of the best coaches to ever play, the career that he had, comes up just short of where we were. We really wanted him to get to the finals, and
I had them winning the whole thing,
and have to be that Cinderella season and thing. But hats off to an unbelievable career, and you could see just in the post game stuff what the kids and it meant to him, and he kept saying in all of his stuff, even 2 weeks ago when they got through and made it, it was all about the kids and that. It wasn't about him and his records. It was wanting those kids to get there. So
yeah, this definitely would have been the 1 year. I think the majority of people would have been fine with Duke winning the tournament. There's going to be outliers and people saying, no, I still hate Duke. But it'll be interesting to see where they go from there. Obviously, they have their successor already named. It was one of their assistants. I'm forgetting the name. But we will see if they take a step back or not. We already saw St. Peter's coach moving on to another school, and they had 3 different players transfer today, leaving as well. We'll see if Duke does that as well after this. But Duke has been one of those schools that get a lot of one and dones anyways, but we'll see the turnaround there. And to answer your question, on March 30th, the last ranking, the men were 4th and the women were 7th in track and field.
Unbelievable. Crazy. All right, so do you want to talk? Let's talk about the men's side of the bracket
we're
first.
Already on the men, so we'll get there.
Let's continue there.
And it was last night.
So. It was last night's one, and I feel absolutely saddened because I didn't watch all of the game. As from you and I finally doing the show, a lot of the staff I work with up at the middle school are always asking me, all right, what do you think? What do you think? And, what are we going to talk about? And I had one teacher like 3 or 4 times last night. All right, who you taking? An hour later, who you taking? Who do you like? I'm like, tell you the same thing. I like Kansas. I thought Kansas was the better team. Get in there, and I had a chiropractor appointment, got done, picked up the kids, got to the house, started watching the game, and it's like, man, you're already down 15. All right, time to let the kids watch Blippi, and so I turned it off. And then you and I are the exact same thing. We have phone messages constantly going off between ESPN, Yahoo, all that, and my phone goes off. Kansas comes back and wins. I'm like, what?
Yeah, so you did 15. It the wrong way. You watched the first half and not the second half. I did not watch the first half, and then I watched the second half when I got down to work. And it was really good. It was a great comeback by Kansas. Give them full credit. North Carolina, I think, just got in their own heads late. Once they lost that lead, they were jacking up contested threes all the time, especially on their last couple of possessions, where instead of taking the easy 2 with enough time where you can still go that route, they were trying to jack up difficult threes, and it just was not working for them. They definitely overachieved this year. New head coach, got the 8 seed in the tournament. A lot of young kids there, so they will be just fine in that program, and back to the Tar Heels where that could be a 1-2 seed next year. But yeah, I do agree. I think Kansas was the better team, and they showed the maturity as the game went on.
Yeah, so Kansas ended up winning that one 72-69, and hats off to their program, the Jayhawks. But Lau, let's turn our attention to your unbelievable bracket. Both of us.
UConn. I almost got the perfect Final Four all the way. UConn got Stanford late in that game, and UConn goes to the finals against South Carolina. And listen, we both had South Carolina winning the whole thing. I think both of us, the moment it didn't matter what the brackets looked like. I think we were both going to take South Carolina. And there's one reason and one reason only, and that's Boston.
Right.
Aaliyah Boston, who is, she's a junior, so she'll be back next year, was so dominant. Now, Henderson did a fantastic job. Destiny Henderson scores 26 points in the game. Give her full credit as well. But Boston, you can't stop this lady inside. She ends up with 16 rebounds in the finals. Just 11 points, but 16 rebounds. You know how many rebounds UConn got as an entire team?
Yeah, not 100%.
24.
That's crazy.
She was only 8 rebounds away from matching the opposing team in a national championship game. South Carolina goes out, scores 22 of the first 30 points in that first quarter, and never looked back. It's a very, very dominant team. And I've seen this headline yesterday, and I kind of am with it. Not that I basketball in general, I don't follow as much. I get into the LC because you can watch it live and you get into it, or the high school sports.
Mhm.
Again, you're into it. It's part of my job. But other college basketball, especially the NBA, I just don't get into as much. So take this with a grain of salt. I could see this being the finals next year too.
Oh, I can too. The thing for me in this game, and not to take anything away from Connecticut, but I think this is the first time all season Connecticut was held to under double digits in the first quarter. They only scored 8 points,
Mhm.
and they're outscored 14 points, in the first quarter alone. I mean, that's a big deficit to get
Mhm.
up and over. So I'm 100% on board with that. I mean, you can easily see those two coming back and being in the finals
Mhm.
again. So, I mean, you could say the number one player in the country there with Boston. So excited to see what that team does to, because everybody's going to come gunning for him next year. What, who can they recruit to
Dominate.
join?
They're just going to dominate. That's my belief. I'm trying to look at their roster right now to figure out even who they're losing. Not many.
No.
Destiny Henderson, who again scored the most amount of points in the final. She's a senior, so she'll be leaving. But there's so many really good juniors and underclassmen for South Carolina. I think they're going to be the number one seed or number one ranked team going into next year. I don't think they'll ever fall from that number one spot. They'll be the top seed going into the tournament, and most likely I'll be putting them all the way through my bracket and winning again if I go that route. Let's move on to the NBA. We don't talk the NBA very much. As we said, neither of us are big into the sport, so we don't spend a lot of time with that. Regular season ends later this week, and I went and looked at the rankings and the standings. The NBA is the perfect example why you do not need to extend playoffs. They do their play-in game, which I understood during the COVID year,
Right.
where they all had to go live in a bubble in Florida for a while. So they expanded that and did this weird little play-in thing, and that just kind of stuck. In the East, the 10 teams are already locked in. The bottom 5 teams are just done, including my New York Knicks. Not surprising. But it's just all about seeding now, and really it's all but one team is already decided there. In the West, all but one team has been eliminated. That needs to be. And it's the Lakers, who are 2 games back, but most likely will be eliminated. What a sad falling off that team has had. But again, it's just about seeding and where you go. There's a game and a half difference between Utah and Minnesota for that 6-7 seed to get out of the play-in, but there's not a lot of drama there. Here's the sickening part to me. 20 of the 30 teams in the NBA make some sort of postseason play. That is far too many. And if you want to argue with me, go look at San Antonio's record. The San Antonio Spurs are the 10th seed in the Western Conference, about to lock up that last playoff spot in the Western Conference that, remember, for 2 decades were the far more dominant conference. And I think they have the best top tier teams. But the San Antonio Spurs are 33-45.
And they're going to make the playoffs.
They're 12 games under 500. And they're going to be a playoff team. Stop expanding this crap.
Mm-hmm.
It's too much. This is why I got out of basketball in the first place, was they played an 82-game season that meant nothing because the playoffs are so long. You get all of these stars that will rest every other day because they don't need to play. And it shows right here, the Spurs, 12 games under 500, will be a playoff team. Now they have to win a bunch just to get into the logistic playoff bracket. And obviously you don't really want to be part of that, but it's still such a mess.
This is way too many. I mean, even adding in the NFL a couple years ago, it was the same thing. I don't just quit messing with it. Let things.
We're going to see it in baseball too.
Yeah,
They expanded one game each, and it's just sure if your team is in that hunt, coming down to the wire, maybe it gives you a little bit more drama going down to it, but it's not going to make the playoffs any better.
No, I don't think it'll make any of the playoffs better. I mean, you look at how, and I've said it so many times, and that's why I don't watch it, and I really haven't watched it much since when Vince Carter and those guys were finishing up that run, and but all of them have become prima donnas. I hate throwing that word out because everybody seems to throw it out there, but yes, there are some great players I love to watch. Seth Curry, I love to watch him play. I what he does with some of his stuff. I like watching him do. Giannis, I like to watch Giannis play. But the bad thing is there's too many of these players that play for the NBA now that are so. It's all about me. It's about me making money. That's it.
I hate that argument, only for the fact that it only gets thrown for the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL and the MLB, well, not as much the MLB, to be honest. Even though you would think so, because that's more of an individual team sport. But the NFL has just as many prima donnas. It's 2/3 of the quarterbacks are prima donnas. 2/3 of the wide receivers anymore. The number one wide receivers.
If they don't get the ball.
Yeah, that's prima donna. That's exactly the definition of a prima donna. That's the same with the NBA. But the NBA gets that as like as a bad thing, and NFL's like, oh, that's terrible. But I'm still gonna watch. I'm not a fan of that argument.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of what these guys.
I just want defense back in the NBA.
Yeah, play some defense where there's scores that are not. I'm okay with a score that's like 110 to 101, not these 140 games, 130 games. If we go to,
I grew up in the times where there's a game going on right now between the Trailblazers and the Thunder, between two teams that are out of it. So obviously they're not trying that hard, but it's 90-78.
Yeah,
that's what I grew up on, and it's get off my lawn moment. But right now, the Heat are going to beat the Hornets. It's 144-115.
That's what I'm saying. I hate seeing that. I mean, I grew up a little bit older, so for me, watching basketball was all about two sets of teams. When I was really young, it was about watching the Lakers and the Celtics. That's who was playing. And then it became, it was the Bulls and the Pistons. So those are the ones that remind me. And you never looked at any of those scores, and they weren't so blown out of the water. Right. Yeah, every once in a while you get a 100 game, but that's it.
Yeah. So with the Heat and Hornets just finishing up, there are 5 NBA games that have wrapped up tonight. Out of those 5 games, how many teams finished under 100 points?
I haven't looked yet, so I can't be 100%. So I would say 2.
0.
Yeah.
The lowest score is the Rockets at 105, and they lost to the Nets to 118-105.
Play defense. That's all I gotta say. Play defense.
Just I can't
get physical like Bill Laimbeer and.
But you can't because they call fouls. And they call fouls on everything. Let's get into high school sports. As we talked about at the beginning of the show, Idaho coming off their spring break, so we're going to start picking up in a lot of the local sports there. Lewiston is back in action today. We're in a doubleheader against Moscow at 3 and 5. Have not heard any results there. They'll be at home against Post Falls in a doubleheader on Saturday noon and 2. I will have the action on the river up there. They are 7-1 on the year. We'll see what the break does for them.
Road trip, huh? Get to go up there.
No, I'm not going to Moscow. They're hosting Post Falls on Saturday.
Ah, gotcha. I thought it was there. Clarkson ended up finally getting their game in against Pullman, as it was supposed to have been a doubleheader. They only ended up playing one, and so thank you to Patsy Line, Trent Line, for sending scores into me a little bit prior to the game. That one just finished up. Pullman comes away with the win, 3-1 in that one. They will play again another single game on Thursday as they host in Moscow, 4:00 over to Adams Field. And then on Tuesday next week, it'll be quite interesting as They will be having a doubleheader there, or a single game against West Valley, as I'm over in the football field, track field area doing track. So that'll be interesting having two different groups there. So Clarkson now 1-3 on the season with the loss to Pullman.
Sultan's had a wild one. They lost both of their games to Northwest Christian 1-3 and 0-11 last Tuesday. Then they win a doubleheader against, is it Lake Roosevelt? Is that?
No,
that's the Lynn Ridgefield thing.
Sprague. Yeah, Lynn Ridgefield Sprague.
Sultan needs to stop using initials because they do it on their schedule too. And I always forget. There's so many. I have to stop and think. But they do win the doubleheader against Lynn Ridgefield, Sprague, Craigmont, Spokane, Indiana,
Pomeroy.
Yeah,
just add them all.
Just whatever. But they win those two, 20-8 and 9-5. They are also in action today. They take on Pomeroy.
We haven't heard from Richie.
I hear from Richie all the time. His boy is raking. I haven't heard from him today, but he's been raking. I'll message him right now. And then they take on Colfax next Tuesday in a doubleheader. In the softball world, again, Lewiston coming off of spring break. They're 4-3 on the year. They play Moscow in a doubleheader today at 3 and 5 p.m. And then they also host Post Falls in a doubleheader at noon and 2.
Clarkson finally gets to play after they've been on spring break. They hosted in Colfax today up at Lincoln as I was getting ready to leave. They were kicking things off up there. They do come away with a loss. That's their first loss of the season, 7-2 to Colfax. The Bulldogs just beat them up. Shout out to Kyle Purcell getting scores into me there today. They will be away the next two games. They'll play in Ellensburg for a doubleheader on Saturday. Different times, 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock over at Ellensburg. And then they will be up in Spokane on Tuesday, 4 o'clock, playing West Valley. We look at Asotin. Listen, Asotin's girls, everything I'm reading about Asotin's girls is like they're going to come away unbelievable. They have now gone 10-0, 6-0 in league play. They win their doubleheader against Northwest Christian, 13-2 and 8-5 last week. And then also on Saturday, they come away with the huge wins against your Lind, Ritzville, Sprague in a doubleheader. And it was just ugly, 11-1 and 18-1. Asotin is just generating offense. Whatever they do is just happening. They will be on the road on Thursday as they travel up to Orofino and take on the Maniacs in Orofino, 4 o'clock on that one. And then next Tuesday, they'll be on the road up to Colfax for a doubleheader. I was curious about this. A doubleheader at Colfax at 4 and 6. So they must have lights up there that they get to play in at Colfax. So excited to see if they can keep the winning streak alive and move that to 13-0 here within the next week.
Richie says, in gale forced winds, Asotin defeated Pomeroy 24-12.
Wow.
I asked him if he gave me a football score by mistake. That's a lot of points. I do not want to take that call when I go to work here in a little bit.
No, that's going to be ugly.
Oh, it's going to take forever.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be nuts.
You are listening to KLCZ 88.9 FM Lewiston. My thing went away. I can't tell you how cold it is outside. It's brisk out there. 49 degrees currently outside.
No wind.
No wind. No rain.
No nothing. No snow.
Yeah.
I think Caruso was trying to just.
She said later this week. It's later this week does not mean in an hour.
Well, you never know.
Don't forget, if you are listening on the radio, you can go check us out on the R&R Sports Report Facebook or YouTube pages. That's where you can interact with us and chat with us and give us your opinions on the topics that we talk about every single week. Don't forget also next week, because I will be down in Vegas and you have track stuff that most likely we will be doing the show on Monday. If we don't end up doing this show Monday, it'll probably be later Tuesday night while I'm down in Vegas, and we'll just throw the show together then. So we will see how things go.
So you're saying set up shop at the
South
Point?
Yeah, I'm taking a bunch of stuff. I can set up in the room for sure. Maybe I'll have better internet than my house. You just never know. But either way, we will not be in studio next week. We will be online only. So if you listen to us on 88.9 FM Lewiston, definitely go and follow us there because that is where we will be. And that's where we will keep you up to date as far as our show goes next week. Let's get into the MLB. I'm so excited.
Did you do what I did today? We both signed up today, didn't we?
I forgot that this was a thing. So last year, Sprint combined with T-Mobile at some point last year, 2 years ago or whatever, and I was a Sprint user and went with T-Mobile. I had always been getting the MLB package, the TV package. Well, going into last season, I thought I canceled it. I swore I canceled this thing. It auto-renewed itself. And 2 days later, I get a notification, hey, since Sprint and T-Mobile are together, you can get the MLB package for free. So I kind of got hosed out of that. I was able to cancel it correctly this last season, but totally forgot about T-Mobile doing this offer until I got the notification today. It's, hey, don't forget to sign up for your free MLB at-bat deal. And I'm like, I'm so excited.
I know.
Bring it on.
That was the first thing Denise did. She was getting ready to head to work after I'd already worked. She texted me a picture because she checked. We have the same thing. We were
the T-Mobile Tuesday.
T-Mobile Tuesday pops up and says, don't forget your MLB package, especially right now. I'm frustrated. Yes. Don't get me started on Dish Network. I've been with Dish Network for so many years now, and I don't understand. They have a beef with Fox.
They have a beef with everybody.
And that's
everybody has beefs with everybody. That's just where TV goes now.
And right now, Root Sports is not on Dish Network. So I'm catching 0 games with
Shall I break your heart once again?
I probably won't. They probably will not come back.
Well, no, you do not get the Seattle Mariners on your MLB package.
No, I know that.
It's out of market.
It's out. Yeah, I know.
You can get the radio.
But that's I mean, it's stupid, because I frustrated with the idea of what Dish is doing, what DirecTV is doing, all of these guys. I mean, the same thing happened with
that's why everything is going streaming services, and then we went from spending all this money to get these cable packages and Dish packages and stuff, and now we have to spend it all on 97 different streaming services.
Well, I know, and then Denise is like, "Oh, by the way, your Peacock re-upped your subscription," and I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna keep paying it because there's shows we watch on that." But it's still, I mean, it's so frustrating that I gotta go. I'm gonna have to go to Rookie. I have to go somewhere just to go watch Seattle Mariners
or just root for a better team.
No, not happening.
All right.
So yes, I did get signed up. So hopefully we'll get watch some games here.
Opening day on Thursday. Some quick news before we get into our predictions. MLB suspends 3 free agents: Danny Santana, Jose Rondon, and Richard Rodriguez. Each will be suspended for 80 games, so they will stay free agents for the rest of the year. Pedro Severino suspended in 80 games this morning for a positive test of something. Clomiphene?
Clomiphene.
I don't know what that is.
Well, and that's the weird thing. So now what does Milwaukee do is he was going to be their main guy rotating in and out, keeping the balanced catcher position. So now he's out for 80 days.
They'll find somebody else.
No pay,
Yeah, oh yeah. Austin Meadows gets traded to Detroit from Tampa Bay. A couple of competitive balance. Weird trades in the MLB when they start adding this kind of stuff. Very interesting move. I think Tampa Bay is going to be a contender. Detroit obviously feels like they can be a contender. I think the AL Central, Chicago, we'll get into it, I think is head and shoulders over everyone else. Right. But now with that extra wild card spot and the other 4 teams kind of all being pretty equal, there might be a spot there. And obviously Detroit feels like they can be competitive enough.
Yeah, I think they can be. But for me, I was shocked to see what they were doing by sending Austin Meadows. It didn't seem like they got a lot back for him, Tampa Bay. It just makes me question. But now you look at that Tampa Bay roster, you're going to have Jonathan Shoup, you got Miggy Cabrera there, you're going to have Will Castro, Javier Baez. So, that's just going to beef up Detroit. Do I think that they can really go against Chicago?
No.
Yeah, I think so. But
sorry, breaking news: Lewiston's Moscow's doubleheader in baseball was postponed and scheduled for tomorrow. Don just sent us the stuff because he won't be there when I get down into the station. So there you go. So no Moscow Lewiston today. I wonder if that's for both. I'm going to guess it's for both. And I guess the Clarkson game happened here.
it did. It
Yeah,
happened.
it was supposed to be at Pullman on Saturday, and then it was supposed to be at Pullman on Monday, and then they went screw it.
Yeah, they played one down here, so
it was a mess. What do you think of the anti-sign stealing tech?
I'm reading into it. I was more. I know they tried it out. I think it was with your Yankees.
Yankees tried it. There was Chicago White Sox tried it. I know there's a few other teams.
I think what I'm more impressed with, they say only 5 people are going to have anything. They say that the catcher will have a armband type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
The pitcher will have a hearing device, and then 3 other players out in the field. So the 5 people total. So wouldn't you think you'd rather have a manager having the
That's
idea
a college
of having
thing.
A manager
There's
have
not
one on?
In college, yes, because there's going to be somebody in the dugout that will usually do the signs, and you still can. They will have to just relay signs to the catcher, and then you have to worry about sign stealing that way. But usually now catchers in the pros are good enough to call the games and work with the pitcher. A little interested that the pitcher does not have anything to relay something back other than they'll just go no.
Yeah.
We'll still have to go through that. I do like that some of the position players get there because at that point it's what basically the second baseman, shortstop, and center fielder most likely is what you'll get, and they can relay messages to the other people about rotating. Those are going to be the ones that rotate the most anyways, as far as positioning, which you want to do based on what pitch is going to be there. So I like that. Everything I have heard about how it worked in the spring and how it worked in minor leagues last year, it does speed up the game because now you're not worried about the second baseman stealing those signs.
Right.
Reading the story that we had in the Tribune that came out to the paper today, it was really interesting to see some of the snafus that they've had where a catcher went to go input something and he bumped the wristband against his shin guard. And so he thought he picked fastball, or he thought he picked knuckleball, and he bumped something and it told the pitcher fastball. So they kind of got crossed up that way. So just different things. I don't know if you can put a cover over it afterwards when you're getting reset, but from everyone that has been trying this, they're giving rave reviews, especially those that really were against the idea before trying it out. I'm really excited to see how it all works out.
I'm looking forward to it, but I think for me, it's they're still going to give the option, which I love that.
Yes,
they're still going to give the option, so it is not a mandated. Here you go, you have to do this. No, I like that. But that was the first thing, and I had not read the Tribune, and the last week for me has been just great. So I haven't read the Tribune, but for me, that was the first thing that crossed my mind when I heard about the story coming through today. Is okay, a lot of these catchers will lay their hand against their inner thigh, whichever one hand they're doing. But do you have to roll that hand over? Is that what's happening? They're rolling it.
I think they put it on the inside part of their arm. But we'll see. Obviously, now that it's allowed, we'll see which teams decide to use it, and we'll probably see it starting on Thursday for sure. Again, we've said it multiple times. It's just because I'm so excited. Opening day on Thursday, your first game of the year at 10 a.m. local time. Boston Red Sox, New York Yankees. Bring it. Absolutely bring it. Somehow not on national TV, which is even better for us to have the package so we can watch this stuff. But like Haley told me today, it's kind of how things backfired when everything got pushed back a week. Like ESPN and Fox and stuff had their schedules all figured out. They're not going to this was supposed to be just a normal Thursday.
Right.
So that's how it goes. All right, let's start with the NL.
Okay.
First, we'll go through a couple of the individual awards, and then we'll go through divisions. We won't spend a ton of time because we got other stuff to get to. But give me your NL MVP this year.
I think he's going to make a huge difference. I really wanted to go with who you did, but I wanted to play kind of a devil's advocate and look. And I went to the West Coast, and I think this guy, since moving out there, he's going to go good. Give me Mookie Betts. I really like
Yeah.
what he's going to do. Now, not taking anything away from who you're going to take, because I think he's a phenomenal athlete too. I think it's going to be these two guys at the end.
The one thing I worry about Mookie Betts is there's so many good players
Oh yeah,
at the Dodgers now that you
Trey
kind of can get
Turner,
lost
Freddie
in.
Freeman.
Oh god, you kind of get lost in the shuffle there, and you won't stand out. My worry with my pick, and I bounce back and forth a lot with it. My pick's Juan Soto, but I don't have the Nationals making the playoffs,
I didn't need
and I think that is going to hurt things. Now, Mike Trout can win MVPs all day long. Otani's won MVPs in the AL, not making the playoffs. It happens. A lot of MVP voters understand that just because, there's 25 people on a roster, one person can make a big impact, but it's not a do or die for making the playoffs. So that's my one hesitancy, as I just don't see them being a playoff team. I honestly see them being third in that division.
No, I don't either.
So how about Cy Young?
I went with this guy just because he's coming off a little bit of an injury. He did pitch a little bit. He's ready to go. He's had a huge, a huge chance of being that main guy in Philadelphia. So I went with Zach Wheeler. I mean,
Not bad.
He's still young. I like what he's in, but he's in that same boat as what I think Juan Soto is. I mean, I don't have Philadelphia winning because of the way they finished last year too. I don't have them winning, but look at what we did last year. Our picks last year were kind of all over the place.
Always. That's I always forget to. I now forget to look. Forget because I don't want to see. I'm gonna go with Max Scherzer. I think this gets elevated even more with DeGrom's injury. They're going to have to rely on Scherzer's start even more early on in the year if the Mets want to make the playoffs. I think he's going to have a fantastic year. And I have the Mets making the playoffs, and a big reason why is because of Scherzer. And we'll see what DeGrom does being the number one guy. But you telling me you're going to have Max Scherzer as your number two for most of the season, playing other number twos. I think he's going to dominate. All right, quickly through the divisions. We both took the Atlanta Braves.
I think that's a no-brainer. Even losing Freddie and all that, I think that's no-brainer. Matt Olson is going to make a difference there too.
Yeah, I think they improved. I mean, obviously the loss of Freddie Freeman impacts the team as far as the locker room, possibly because he's been there forever. But talent-wise, I think they improved from winning the World Series last year. I was tempted to take the Mets here just as a not as obvious pick, but I feel like I would have picked it just to be a contrarian, and I do think the Braves win. I was surprised that you went with me here with the Milwaukee Brewers, though.
Now, the Milwaukee was that team last year, and they just looked really good. I think it's going to come down to their starting rotation.
Yeah.
I really do. It's going to come down to what can Corbin Burns do, what can Woodruff do, and who's going to be the backside of that rotation. I think that is the biggest question, but honestly, I don't think St. Louis made enough moves. I don't think, Cincinnati was on a sale. They sold everything. So we knew they were going to be down. I think it's a two-team race.
Yes.
So, but I don't think we'll get to my last wild card pick, and that's just the reason why I don't think that is the strong enough division there. So,
yeah, I'm with you. Obviously, the Reds completely fire sale. The Cubs have a lot of young talent, and I think last year they overperformed. I still think they're going to be fine, but not in playoff contention. And the Pirates, same thing, very, very young team, a lot of fantastic talent. I think they're a couple of years away from being great contenders. So it comes down to the Brewers and Cardinals, and definitely with the pitching staff of the Brewers, Yelich get back into that top tier status that he was a couple years ago. So I will take the Brewers as well. In the NL West, I went the easy pick. It's the Dodgers. What a ridiculous lineup. Everyone makes fun of the Yankees for always spending. They got nothing on the LA Dodgers. And the impressive lineup and rotation and bullpen that they have put together.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. But I want to play devil's advocate on this.
Mhm.
I saw you take the Dodgers, so it came down to these two teams, San Francisco and LA last year. We knew San Diego was decent last year,
Right.
and then the imploding team just went to heck in a handbasket,
Mhm.
And so I, I I think LA is way talented, like you said. I mean, Trey Turner there, Freddie Freeman. It's going to be a great team. I just took San Francisco just to think, okay, we got to have a little bit different.
San Francisco's still that team last year. I'm still waiting for the fall off. Like, they had such a great red start, and we did power rankings back
Right.
then. We just don't have the
Oh,
time to
no.
do it this year. But we did power rankings back then, and both of us would always just say, at some point, they're going to fall off. Like, we would just hesitated of moving them up to power rankings. Like, oh, we don't believe it. We don't believe it. We had to believe it the whole way. They were in it the entire season. I'm still waiting for the fall off, and I think it's happening this year. Wild card teams, real quick. I'm going to go Mets, Padres, and Cardinals.
For me, I'm also going to go the Mets, but I'm taking LA just
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
we know that one's coming out of there. But sneaking in really, really fine. I'm going to take St. Louis too, and maybe it's the feel good story. Maybe that's why I'm going that direction. I don't think they're going to be the best team coming out of the Central, but I gotta be that feel good guy for Albert Pujols and him coming back to St. Louis.
So obviously we mentioned several teams. The two teams that we have just flip flopped as far as making the playoffs or not. You have the Giants in, I have the Padres in. Who's the team that neither of us have in our playoffs that you think could be that San Francisco Giants last year, where they just stick around long enough and we go, okay, at some point they're going to fall off, and they just never do?
I think Philadelphia is. And like I said, I'm really high on Zach Wheeler. I'm thinking that's probably where it is. If he can stay healthy, keep Philadelphia in it, I think he could be that team in there. Then we didn't even have him in the wild card.
For me, it's really difficult because I don't think they have the depth and the pitching rotation yet. But I like the lineup for the Pittsburgh Pirates. They could be that team like your Seattle Mariners last year, where we're like, oh, they're 2 or 3 years away, and they make a run at it, and now you have that extra spot. I think they could be feisty, but I'm worried about pitching. Pitching is obviously the big bugaboo for the Pirates right now, but a lot of young bats on that team. So we will see how that goes. How about in the American League? Who is your MVP?
American League, I am going to go just because, and this was kind of the same with you. These guys aren't going to make the playoffs, but give me Jose Ramirez. He's going to have to be that guy for Cleveland if they want to keep the Guardians. It's weird still saying that. The Guardians in somewhat of a contention, but that's the same thing, the same issues you have with Juan Soto. We don't see this team being in there, but I mean, there are so many different people. I picked opposite of you because the same thing with your pick. I love that athlete. I talked about him a ton. So I think it's going to come down to either one of those.
My big question with Jose Ramirez: will he be a Guardian after the trade deadline?
If
he has this year and next year left on his contract,
I think if they don't get out on a hot start, he could be gone by middle of June, or if not, the end of May.
It'll be interesting. He's one of those players that has been in trade talks before, or rumors. And I can see it. If they fall out, the AL Central is a one-team race, and then everyone else is battling for wild cards, but there's a lot of really good talent. If they become this year's Minnesota Twins, where they just never get out of the starting blocks, I could see Jose Ramirez moving, and that really, I think, would hurt his MVP chances. For me, I'm going to go with the runner-up last year. I really wanted to take Byron Buxton. I know you are more of the spring trainings number guy than I am, but that dude is raking. in spring training right now, and he has been fantastic when healthy. I only don't take him because the when healthy part has never worked out for Byron Buxton.
Right.
So I'm going Vlad Guerrero Jr. I think both of us think Toronto is going to take that next step forward. Top tier World Series contender up there in Canada. And they have that extra impact, it seems like. I'm not sure if they have changed like New York, where if you're not vaccinated, you can't go play in Canada. So they have that extra home field advantage right now if they have not changed that. So give me Vlad in the MVP. For the Cy Young, I just realized we both went Homer. I hadn't even looked at your name. You're going to go Robbie Ray.
I am
back-to-back years.
Back to back.
Do you understand how many walks Robbie Ray throws?
Yes, I know. Listen, I think he's going to do really well. He has been in 3 games just in the preseason, and he's looking decent. I mean, 17 strikeouts already. I mean, he's looking. I went Homer. I had to, just because that's a big move for Seattle. I think Robbie Ray could be that base in the Seattle Mariners bullpen or starting rotation that could really put Seattle back up there where they need to
If
be.
he pitches like last year, I think Mariners make the playoffs. I just don't see it. For me, it's Garrett Cole, best pitcher, best pitcher in the American League by far. He has not performed that to that top tier talent that he has shown in Houston and Pittsburgh when he was with the Yankees so far. Better defense behind him now. Get Josh Donaldson at third, Kiner Falefa at short. Help with some of the ground balls. Maybe it helps a little bit more. He still gives up too many home runs right now, and at Yankee Stadium where it's very easy to give up those home runs. It'll be interesting. But I do think he has the best talent in the American League, so I'm going to go with him. Very interesting that our 3 division winners are all the same.
Yeah. But you and I have talked so much over the last little bit. The AL is just looking so much better.
That's so stacked. The AL East, I have seen predictions that we get that extra wild card. I have seen predictions from people that are way smarter than us that say all 3 wild card teams are coming out of the East. And it's not out of the realm of possibility. I'm not predicting it. It's not out of the realm.
All that's saying is that Danny Grubbs, even I like Baltimore, even though
I like Baltimore too, because it helps the Yankees. Well, usually it's wins for the Yankees, but last year it was not wins for the Yankees.
No,
the Yankees could not beat that Baltimore team, and it drove me nuts.
But it's Denny Grubbs' Baltimore team that's going to make the difference, I think.
So we took Toronto, the White Sox, and the Astros to win the 3 divisions in the American League. Which one of those 3 teams do you think is in the most danger?
Honestly, I think it might be I've got to go Houston. Houston could be up and down. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do. Los Angeles played really well last year, but when you
without Mike Trout,
without Mike Trout, you have one of the best players to ever play the game, and Shohei Ohtani. Pitching and batting. I think him is going to be the big thing. Houston also losing Carlos Correa. That's going to be huge. I'm curious to see what happens with that, with his loss there. So it's going to be interesting. But I think it's going to give an AL West team a bigger push.
Yeah, it's either Toronto or Houston, to answer my own question. I think the White Sox roll in the Central. They might be the best team in the American League, and they're in the worst division.
Yeah.
In the AL East, 4 teams. I still don't fully buy Boston, but they are managed well enough that even they're like Tampa Bay in a way right now, where you look at the roster, it's not eye-popping, but they're managed well enough where they're going to be a competitive team all year. I could see them making a run and winning the division. Rays, a lot of people are taking that step back on the Rays. People don't fall for it. They do this every year. They sell off some spots, and you're like, okay, Austin Meadows.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say, because both of us had this on here before I saw that Austin had moved, and so I still think
Okay, they move off on people, and you're like, oh, they're going to sell a little bit. They're going to take a step back. No, never buying about the Rays. The Yankees, I'm very pessimistic about the Yankees this year. I think they have to find a way to gel. I'm very interested to see if the Donaldson dynamic helps like light a fire under this team. Obviously, they are very injury prone, and that always hurts them as well. I do like that they have gotten rid of some of their home run hitters and went more defense. They're stealing more bases in spring training. We'll see if that carries over into the regular season. So maybe changing their dynamics. So, I just want them to be a more fun team. They were impossible. I'm a Yankee fan. I've been a Yankee fan for as long as I can remember. Last year was impossible to watch. Not because they were bad. They made the playoffs. They lost in the wild card game to Boston last year. Their games were horrendously boring. Striking out 15 times a game and hitting 4 home runs. Like all solo shots, and you have to hope you win 4-3. That was every game. It was just they weren't moving base runners over. They weren't playing small ball. I hope they go that route. If they do, they're going to be a contender. If not, Aaron Boone hopefully will finally be gone.
You've been trying to move him for a long time.
It's driving me absolutely nuts.
Times too.
All right, so we have Blue Jays, White Sox, Astros winning the division. Who are your 3 wild card teams?
So for the wild cards, I am going with Tampa Bay, even though with the big move with Austin Meadows, I think your Yankees make it in. But now we've expanded one more game. I'm not playing Homer, but for that reason. But give me my Seattle Mariners. Jared Kelenic has made some big strides. He's going to be good. Is he the same guy of coming out with the whole, was he the same Ken Griffey Jr., Alex Rodriguez when they were rookies? No,
Right.
But he's building on it. But looking at what Seattle did by Julio Rodriguez, Robbie Ray, Jesse Winkler, and Eugenio Suarez, this team is going to look good in the next few months. It is going to end up being, are they going to be a good team when we get to the end of August and the 1st of September? That is what I'm worried about. I
guarantee you they have the division lead after 2 weeks. That's the Mariners move every year.
Well, yeah.
And will they be able to stay? I make fun of you for saying Seattle's going to break this curse. Last year, I thought you were a year early. I don't have them making it just because I think the AL is so deep. But if you were going to ask me who is that last team out, it's the Seattle Mariners. They're going to be a very, very good team. It's just the AL West is very stacked. The AL East is very stacked. And even with the extra playoff team,
you're like tongue-tied there.
I was trying to think because I was going to say in the AL West, I don't think could make the playoffs is Oakland. But I don't see Texas yet. But they have improved as well. It's going to be very interesting. There's going to be so many teams in that running, and it's going to be a complete mess. So while I do not have Seattle in my wild card, I can't make fun of you about it this year. Right. I have Tampa Bay and the Yankees just like you, but I have the Los Angeles Angels. At some point, Mike Trout's got to make the playoffs. At some point, with him and Ohtani, all of this talent they have on this team, they have to make it at some point. And I want Alicia not to fire me. So I have to make her happy by putting the Angels in my wild card over your team. All right, let's go to the World Series prediction. Last year, I got so close.
You were very close.
The White Sox were that team I thought we're going to make that crazy stride, make the World Series. I think I had them against the Dodgers. That's Dodgers, right? Or no, the Atlanta got in. So I had them both lose in the championship series. So I was close. This year, I'm going wild.
Yeah, you're going very wild because you're pulling both of them out of a division that I'm like, really?
Well, for one, I'm pulling them out of the division that I think is the easiest to make to win the division. So I'm guaranteed they're going to have a home series in the wild card round, or they could be that top seed because they had so many easy wins. So I'm guaranteed there. And I think both are still top 3 or 4 in Vegas odds as far as making the World Series. So I'm not going completely out on a limb. Just not the top tier teams that you hear.
When I saw your picks when I was putting mine in today, I was like, wow,
Bring it.
And that's like you were. I thought, well, maybe he's thinking about something, going to Vegas, and said, let's roll the dice. That's kind of what I felt when I saw that. I'm like, really?
So listen, I'm going to say the same thing I said about my men's bracket, which almost worked. If I'm going to be wrong, I'm going to have fun being wrong.
Yep.
Give me the Chicago White Sox and the Milwaukee Brewers in the World Series. White Sox over the Brewers. Tommy Lasorda at the age of 173 wins the World Series and retires. That's my call.
Central versus Central.
Yep.
Wow.
And the ratings will be the worst in MLB history.
Yeah, that'll be crazy. It'll be weird. Listen, I'm going West Coast, and I'm going, and then I'm going to go across the border.
Okay.
I just, both of us have been really big on Toronto. I think Toronto finally makes a big push, and they're going to come, and I think Vlad Guerrero is going to be the main guy there, and he's going to put him over. But you talked about him and why I put him in we just couldn't get over the whole San Francisco thing. Give me San Francisco. I think the Giants are back there again, but I think Toronto ends up beating them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Who knows? I think both of us not taking the Dodgers is a bad sign.
Yes.
The Dodgers are going to roll.
How many arguments we're going to get in with Clint and all these guys?
Well, no, it's just
really,
and they're going to be proven right. Because that's what I'm saying. With both of us avoiding the Dodgers, we're just going to throw them in there for sure. You are listening to the R&R Sports Report on KLCC 88.9 FM Lewiston. Also check us out on the R&R Sports Report Facebook and YouTube pages. And we haven't had any comments today. It's been a very quiet night, and that is totally fine. But if anyone's out there listening and you're not a wrestling fan and you don't like Aussie Rules football, you can probably step away for a bit or have fun listening to us nerd out for a little bit. We'll get into some sports that don't get enough airtime later on. We'll talk some bowling, have some fun. Robert will destroy me with a trivia question. If you want to stick around, that is fantastic as well. But Wrestlemania was last weekend. And I have to say, I went into this going, the card's decent. I think the show will be okay. There were so many complaints about the timing of the show and all of the video packages that got played. I don't think people understand that if you don't pay for that top tier Peacock, you get thrown ads. And instead of throwing people ads during important moments of Mania, they just had all of us basically take a commercial break. But some of us got WWE stuff and some of them got Peacock stuff. And it did spread both. It did spread things out a little bit. And that's just what you're going to get with the Peacock network now. And you just kind of have to live with it. But I have to say, I still love the 2-night deal. I wish they weren't 4 hours long because they'd still spread out pretty good. And there's a match or two on each of these shows. You can probably just cut and make it 3 hours each night. Make it 3 hours and actually do something with your pre-show. You had a 2-hour pre-show both Saturday and Sunday. Not a single match was thrown on the pre-show. You can fill out the pre-show with 2 or 3 matches as people come in, let the wrestlers get their WrestleMania moment, and then have a nice, tight night 1, night 2 of your Mania, and it would be fantastic.
I mean, why couldn't you throw, and I'm just throwing out names, but why couldn't you have the Hurt Business out there? Why couldn't you have done something with them? Why couldn't you have done something?
Because the Hurt Business doesn't exist
But
anymore.
I'm saying, you're talking about putting out something during the pre-show. Why couldn't you have done that? Why couldn't you have done something?
I'm more talking, you could have put the Usos versus Rick Boogs and Shinsuke Nakamura on the pre-show. You could have put the New Day match on the pre-show, and they could have actually give them time because they got thrown on Sunday and got 2 minutes. You could have thrown that women's tag team match on the pre-show as well. I'm not trying to take away people's WrestleMania moments, but to have just 5 matches on your main card and give everyone some really good time and keep it as a 3-hour main show would have been fantastic. Let's go through it real quick, see your thoughts throughout. So on night 1, started out with a bit of a bad start. The Usos do retain against Rick Boogs and Shinsuke Nakamura. Rick Boogs tore his quadricep muscle doing a big spot where he's trying to lift up both the Usos on his shoulders, and his right leg just completely gave out. Obviously, they kind of had to change the game plan of that match Not the only match that they had to do that on in the weekend, but that's how things started. Drew McIntyre defeats Happy Corbin. I love the Happy Corbin character. I have to admit, Corbin he's really good at understanding a heel character and getting everyone to hate him. There's a lot of bad guy characters that are really cool, and a lot of people like to root for them. Happy Corbin has figured out how to make just everyone hate him. And Drew McIntyre cutting through 2 ropes just shows just how sharp that stupid sword is, which makes no sense.
The one thing I took away from the Drew McIntyre and Happy Corbin one is the plot line. How much longer do you think Madcap stays with Happy Corbin? As you see, you've seen things over the last couple of weeks kind of slowly fall apart.
I can see that being
storyline change a little bit,
thrown together as like a SummerSlam match or something, right in that area. I mean, summer usually slows down, so you can see them breaking up during that point as well. The Miz and Logan Paul defeated the Mysterios.
Yeah,
I hate to say this, Logan Paul is really good.
He is good.
For a person that has never been in a wrestling ring before, he took it serious. He put in the effort. The fact he came out with the most expensive Pokemon card as a necklace was the most heel move I've ever seen. I loved every second of it. Him doing the Eddie Guerrero moves was a great heel moment against the Mysterios. The guy just gets it.
Watching him doing the 3 amigos was just nuts.
Have zero respect for Logan Paul as a human being. He could do well in this business.
I ended up, and I love Rey Mysterio watching him, but you know, I that was the reason why I took Miz and Logan Paul, was just because Denise was excited. Because she follows watching the Miz and Miz and Mrs. and she actually sat through the first 3 matches with me just to be able to watch Logan Paul and the Miz, and so it was a great match. I wouldn't. It's still not my favorite match, the entire thing.
No, that's next.
Yeah, that is next. Hands down the best one. But you know, do you see Logan Paul now signing a deal?
100%.
And now
I think we see the Miz versus Logan Paul at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think that's the big celebrity match. The next match was my favorite match of the weekend. The next 2 matches are the top 2.
Yep. Hands down.
Just leaps and bounds over. But the Raw Women's Championship, Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair winning after getting kicked in the face. There's a move called, if you don't watch wrestling, there's a move called, it was called the Molly Go Round when Molly Holly used to do it. You stand on the top rope and you do this front somersault and you're supposed to land on the person's face and kind of just sit down and they fall backwards. She did not do a sitting motion. She kicked her right in the face. And she had quite the shiner last night on Monday Night Raw. But that match is so good. It was great long-term storytelling from their SummerSlam match where it only lasted 30 seconds. I love Bianca Belair as a face. I know a lot of people are tired of Becky Lynch as the heel, but knowing that her and Seth Rollins are at home with their baby, coming up with ideas to overdo each other just makes me laugh in my own head. That match was great.
Yeah, the one thing that I'm going to say, and it was the same with this match, it was also the same with the other women's matches. The only thing I disliked about all of them is how much makeup, and they just make these people look. I mean, you look at Becky Lynch.
Well, Becky was red
face.
Yeah, Becky was. Dude, I forget the movie she was. Her whole outfit was based around, but her makeup was part of that. I can't remember what it was.
But hands down, best match.
I'm disappointed that Ronda Rousey went back to her crazy eye makeup that she had on her last run. She had gotten rid of it on this run. It came back tonight. I'm not a big fan of it myself. After this one, it was the big moment. Who was going to face Seth Rollins? Worst kept secret in all of wrestling. It was Cody Rhodes. They did their best in the last week and a half to go, oh, no, Cody changed his mind. No, he's there. Great response from the crowd. Very, very cool moment. And then they just killed it. That match was really good.
It was really good. Yeah. And the respect that Cody threw towards Dusty and Dusty's moves and the American Dream and that whole feeling of it. I was like, I'm back watching this in the 80s, man. This is awesome. And I loved it. So 1-2, those matches back to back, that made Friday or Saturday's Wrestlemania hands down the best day of.
That's why night 1 was better than night 2 for me. Those 2 matches. Charlotte does beat Ronda, as we were kind of mentioning, talking about going back to the 80s to get the Flair bad guy character. A lot of people are hating on Charlotte. I think she's very, very good in the ring. And then you finish off with the Steve Austin appearance on the KO show. I'd figured that because it was supposed to be a match, and then they changed it to a show because I just think Austin wanted to do a couple of big moves, drink some beer. Nope. It was a whole ploy in itself. They do have a full-on match. And the fact that Steve Austin took a suplex on the concrete. Okay. But it was far more of a match than I was expecting.
Yeah.
But the crowd was way into it. Just seeing Austin doing old Austin things. Yes, he was moving a lot slower than he did. It's been 19 years since he last had a match. I'm very disappointed that it became an official match because for 19 years, I have been able to say I was at Steve Austin's last match at WrestleMania 19. I can no longer say that, but very, very cool moment.
Yeah. So I think it was great. And to see what he did, it was awesome. So yes, but he moved way slow.
Yes. We go to night number 2. A great Raw tag team match between RK Bro, the Street Profits, and Alpha Academy. It kept showing Gable Steveson, who is basically the next Kurt Angle, but he's much bigger. One of the U.S. amateur wrestlers that they have signed to be a part of it. They showed him on night 1. They do a little thing with him there in night 2. That match was really, really fun. Bobby Lashley defeats Omos. That match, and it was a thrown away. That one could be on the pre-show as well. Another one I hate to say. WWE has just killed these celebrity matches lately. They have been so good. Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville is this type of match I would absolutely hate if it was 2 actual wrestlers. It's the style of wrestling I can't stand. But because it was Johnny Knoxville and because Sami Zayn is so good as that over-the-top crazy heel, all of this worked. And I gut-rolled the entire match.
All I have to say, and I texted you too, and I texted Du for the same thing. All I got to say is, Wee Man Slam.
Yep. I love that
the
WrestleMania, he just turned it into say Wee Man. It was great. The big giant mousetrap, which didn't work at first, they still made work. All of it worked. I loved it. It's so good. They fixed celebrity matches. They used to be so bad. Now they're really, really good. Women's tag team fatal 4-way. It's just too many people in the ring. Fatal 4-way tag team matches always get convoluted. Nice to see Naomi and Sasha Banks win titles there. Pat McAfee defeats Austin Theory. I was waiting for Vince McMahon interference. That came after the match. And a weird thing. Pat McAfee, beyond over. I like that he used the White Stripes theme. Got the crowd getting into crazy chants with it. Oh, yeah. So good. So Vince McMahon then upset that Austin Theory loses, then challenges Pat McAfee to a match. The dude's in his 70s. Does not move very well. It was not a wrestling clinic, but it was all set up for after Vince defeats Pat McAfee for Austin to come back out, have some more fun. Vince took possibly the worst stunner of all time. It's between him and his wife. It's those two.
Yep.
To the point that Steve Austin just gut rolled the whole rest of the time he was out there for how bad it was. A fun little segment.
Oh, next, but especially where he even stuns Pat McAfee too. And Pat was all about wanting to meet him,
drinking the beer while he was laying there.
While he was laying there, yeah. So,
I did skip over AJ Styles losing to Edge, as Edge now has his little faction. Damian Priest joining him. A lot of rumors that Rhea Ripley is going to join that group, and possibly Tommaso Ciampa are the names that I keep hearing. We will see where that goes. Obviously, we're going to get that match at WrestleMania Backlash in a few weeks. I thought it was okay. A lot of people thought it was slow. I was totally fine with it. And then the main event, Roman Reigns defeating Brock Lesnar. Roman Reigns legit had his shoulder come out.
Yeah, I hated it. I mean,
why did you hate it?
The match was over in what, 10 minutes?
Because they had. I just said
it was just crazy.
His shoulder completely came out. If you go back and watch the Kimura, and I don't know if it came out before that, and they were trying to just hold that so he could sell the shoulder because he thought he just banged it up pretty good.
Oh no,
it was way out. He's still having issues with it. I'm really worried about Friday if he needs surgery or something and then has to like hand over the titles because he's got to be gone for months. That's why it was so short.
Right. Yeah.
They finished night 2 like 20 minutes early. I think that was supposed to go on quite a bit more.
Yeah.
So a little disappointing there, but the right person gets the win. All hail your tribal chief, head of the table, Roman Reigns. Unfortunately, we both went 8-5.
Yeah, well,
We did not know the New Day match was an official match, so we did not guess that, and obviously we did not expect Vince McMahon to face Pat McAfee. But yeah, 8-5s all around. Real quickly, Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
The Undertaker speech taking an hour, way worth it. Obviously, I'm a little disappointed he didn't bring up Mick Foley, but he had to bring up so many people, and he mostly focused on the people that were there.
Right.
So I'm not going to get on Taker. I think there's some beef or something.
No, I think it was probably the best speech I've ever heard for Hall of Fame. And I think for me was the best thing is when he came out to finally talk about what he was going to say. He says, "I want you to understand Mark Calloway."
Yeah,
and that was the best part of it. You know, he's talking from the heart. It wasn't from, and I think some of the best ones was his, and I laughed about it, was him kind of poking fun at The Godfather. That I think was the best part, when it was the old days of Godfather was the
if you want some more Godfather stories, go listen to both Godfather and The Undertaker on the Stone Cold podcast or Stone Cold Show or whatever,
Right.
the Broken Skull session on the Peacock Network. Another Steiner's one was good. And Scott Steiner wasn't crazy. Scott Steiner, I like that he was joking about it. I don't get the cow story that he told.
I didn't either.
That was a bit weird. Cool to see Vader get in. I didn't think Sharmell deserved to be in the Hall of Fame, but after seeing how much she was in the WWE longer than I thought, but it was still a very, very cool moment with her and Booker, who they're married in real life, to be able to have that moment together. And then, of course, you had Gaspard, who, if you've not heard about his story,
I started tearing up during
saved his son. They kind of got cut up on big waves, made sure his son was able to get with the lifeguards, and then he got swept away. Just a very, very sad story there. Very cool for his wife and son to be out there to honor him. But I want this to be known. Dana Warrior is a horrible human being, and I don't want to ever see her again. The wife of the Ultimate Warrior, or Warrior, as he changed his name,
right,
just goes out there to use this as her spotlight. She is the fakest human being I've ever met, or I've never met, but I've ever seen on the screen. She's going out there to honor Chad, comes out to the Ultimate Warrior music, tries to get all the crowd up there, and fakes doing the shaking of the ropes and stuff like Warrior would do after watching the video with Chad and his kid and stuff. So, like, nobody is in the mood for your antics.
Right.
And what my favorite part of that whole thing is the wrestlers stood up and applauded every single person that came out there, except for her. Yep. I understand that this award was named for Warrior, and she wants to come out and do it. If she's going to say, I have to come out and give out the award to the person, then just stop giving out that award.
Exactly.
I don't want to see her ever again on any of those screens.
Let somebody else bring it up. That's
horrible.
how I feel about it. Yep.
Anyways, that's my rant. AFL Week 3 was a good one. Western defeated Sydney 71-60. Geelong, great comeback this week.
Down 37, come back and win that one. So
yeah, they beat Collingwood 104-91. Hawthorn almost did the same thing. They were down over 30 early on in the third quarter. Came back, actually took the lead, but they lose to Carlton 74-73. Adelaide and Port Adelaide had a fantastic match. I watched a lot of that one. Adelaide wins 96-92. Port Adelaide, who is one of the favorites to win the cup this year, is now 0-3, and they get undefeated Melbourne next week. So their season could be in big trouble. Brisbane, Melbourne, and then Carlton, who defeated Hawthorn, are the three undefeated teams remaining. It was almost Hawthorn. Hawthorn was almost one of the final three remaining.
I still can't believe you're in fourth place ahead of my Geelong Cats. This is crazy.
I have brainwashed my daughter that she knows who Rhea Ripley is.
Listen, I like Rhea Ripley.
Addie's favorite.
Denise has asked me, why would you like Rhea Ripley? I said, she's a monster,
so good. She's so good in the ring.
Love
Addie's
like
favorite
Liv.
Is the Queen, Charlotte Flair. That's the Queen. You got to go with the Queen. That's where she goes with. Week 4, stay up, sir. Friday at 2:50 a.m. local time, the 2-1 Geelong Cats will take on the undefeated Brisbane team. That's going to be a great one to watch later on. Saturday at 2:25, our buddy Eric's Western Bulldogs, who are 1-2, take on the Richmond Tigers, who are also 1-2 on the year. And then Saturday at a decent 10:20 p.m., my Hawthorne Hawks will take on St. Kilda. Both of those teams are 2-1, so definitely check out AFL. NASCAR, Denny Hamlin held off Kevin Harvick. That was a wild one, a bunch of different strategies, and it all kind of converged all at once. William Byron was stretching out his fuel mileage and had like an 8-second lead over Hamlin and Harvick, who both had pitted in between. So they were coming up quick. You had another driver who I'm blanking on now, Martin Truex Jr., who was closing the gap as well, but was still on older tires. Hamlin catches Byron with 5 laps to go, takes the lead, holds off Harvick. So he gets the win at Richmond. They go to Martinsville next week. PBA USBC Masters might be my favorite tournament.
It is.
As far as the what we see on TV, it's your normal step ladder. Very, very hard conditions. I'm still not a big fan of the red oil over the blue. It just looks a bit over the top. But the fact that you have your 15 games of qualifying, and then if you get into the top 63 or you're the defending champion, you get thrown into an NCAA style bracket, which is fine. But instead of just going one game against your opponent, you're playing a 3-game set every round, and it's double elimination. So if you lose in that top bracket, you have to play even more to work your way through the losers bracket to try to make the TV. You can bowl a lot that week.
Yeah, and I'm watching and get to follow, and both you and I follow Brad and Kyle. And if you haven't followed them on their follow them on their page and on their YouTube page. But yeah, Brad Miller being one of those guys in there, they talked about how hard the conditions were and where they were playing and but for me it has to be what the old man did. I mean,
Norm Duke, so good.
And where he was playing compared to what everybody else was playing. It's all we got to really see if you didn't watch Brad and Kyle was the stair step, the step ladder format. So you didn't see where everybody was playing, and it's just nuts to see that Duke stayed outside.
And to do all this stuff with all the USBC ball issues that was going on this week. Can you wait for the season to end before you make different rule changes? I know everyone is upset about the purple hammers and stuff, but let the season end. You have all of that summer league stuff to go through. You can make adjustments there. Don't do it after the first day of a tournament.
And they did that to Jason Belmonte. And what was funny is, as more of what Belmo was once he finished, I don't know if you saw his post, he basically says at the end of that, he was going to put his name on the sub list for Monday and Tuesday in Vegas because he was still going to be there, but he decided to take his name off the sub listable with other people because he just was so frustrated with what happened.
I don't blame him. Anthony Simonson ends up winning the tournament. Norm Duke second, Brad Miller third. AJ Johnson, who lost to Brad Miller on a 2-ball roll off in crazy fashion, finishes fourth, and Sean Maldonado finishes fifth. What I was interested in, because it is a USBC event, so it's open to the public. It was like, what do you have to do to qualify? Not a lot.
No, not a lot at all.
It only takes 180 average, a USBC sanctioned average of 180 to qualify for the USBC Masters, and $500. But average wise, a lot of people can do it. There was 414 competitors this year. 409 of them finished all 15 games of qualifying. You bowl 5 games each of the first 3 days.
Right.
High average was 218. Low average is 135. Now, I don't think I could keep up with the 218 on these harder shots. I'm hoping for 180 next week. Like, if I bowl 180 next week, I'm going to come back with the biggest smile on my face.
Right.
But the low average is 135. I think I could beat that. 105 got into the money. Again, if the top 63 in the previous winner make the bracket, you win $2,000. Just making the show gets $10,000. And Simonson got $100,000 for the win. So my question to anybody out there is, who wants to sponsor me next year? I would like to play, please.
More. I mean, I would easily go down and do it.
I definitely need to get more. I need to bowl more to be able to even have a chance. We said it many times. We're about to end this show, but I will be down in Vegas next week to bowl in the USBC Nationals with our good friend Tony Barden and a few other guys down there. We bowl Wednesday night and Thursday morning. You can watch it somewhere. I forget if you have to pay or not, but you can watch it somewhere and watch me just completely suck. What I'm very excited for is you were talking about Brad Kyle, Brad's coach, Mike Jasenow, will be coaching me Wednesday morning.
Really?
I have reserved a spot with him. I was hoping to Tuesday or Friday. He only had spots Wednesday and Thursday, so it's like 10:30 in the morning on Wednesday. I would be going to the Orleans in Vegas and getting a training session with Mr. Mike Jasenow.
That's awesome.
So he will completely break apart my my whole approach, and it's going to be great. What happened in golf, sir?
Some real quick get through the golf before we get to the stumping of Randy. 31-year-old JJ Spawn wins his first PGA Tour. When he had a couple of tours earlier, he won in Tour Canada and also one on the Corn Ferry. He ended up winning that. He does secure a spot in this week's Masters, which we'll tee off with everybody on Thursday. So that's happening on Thursday. Defending champion is Hideki Matsuyama. So it'll be interesting. Tiger is slated to tee off at 7:34 a.m. on Thursday. We'll see if that happens or not.
All right. We don't have time, so give me the trivia question.
All right. So in the trivia question, it was in 1994, the largest opening day crowd at Yankee Stadium was 56,706.
Yep.
That was at Yankee Stadium. What is the largest opening day crowd in Major League history? Is 80,277. What year was that, and where was it at, with which two teams?
Oh, wow. My main question is it before or after 1980? Just give me that help.
It was after.
It was after. So that
I will help you out. It'll be in the 90s.
I was thinking like the Polo Grounds because that field was so huge. What place could hold 80,000 people? Is it Oakland?
No.
Oakland has that triple deck that they never use.
No.
I have no idea.
It was April 9th, 1993. It was in Denver. It was the Colorado Rockies taking on Montreal Expos. Of all teams,
you can put 80,000 people at Coors Field?
Colorado ends up winning that one 11-3. Expos scored all of their 4 runs in the 9th inning. Mike Lansing of the Expos went 2 for 5 with a home run, 3 RBIs. Who did Lansing hit the home run off of?
No idea.
I guarantee you, our buddy Denny Grubb knows this. I threw a LC stat in there. Mike Lansing hits his home run with 3 RBIs off LCSC's Steve Reed.
Oh, there you go.
On a 3-run shot.
You have to ask him that next weekend when LC's back at home.
Yep.
All right. That is going to do it for another great show. Again, thank you to Deana Caruso for coming on the show, even though she did pick you to win.
Yes.
The draft next week. I get to pick the topic. I already have it in my mind. I'll tell you after this show. Very timely, as most of our brackets are. We're going to have some fun with it as well. But for now, we got to get out of here because I've got to get to work. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. For that is Robert. I am Randy, and we are out.